Prepare your brains! One of my favorite genres of movies is the musical. It's a really polarizing genre. Some people adore it, some people run away screaming into a field from it, but I absolutely love it. So today I'm going to talk about my 5 favorite musicals. Now these aren't necessarily the best musicals ever. I think they're good. That's my opinion, but these are my 5 favorites. So the first one is Holiday Inn. It came out in 1942. I think it might be my favorite musical of all time, and I have no idea why it's in a CD case. It was a gift, and it came in this thing. It's not even in there. There's nothing in here because it's probably in my Blu-ray because I love it. This film brings together some of the biggest stars of the 40s. Bing Crosby and Fred Astaire. And with those 2 stars, you kind of have someone to represent each aspect of a musical. So the dancing part and the singing part. Now films from the 40s can be hard to watch for viewers today. They can be a bit slow paced, the editing is very minimal. Now I may be kind of used to 40s films by now, but I feel like this film keeps up a good pace, it's consistently funny, there's a lot of numbers in it. Now the premise of this film involves having a number for every holiday. So they do actually have a number for every American holiday. Even like Washington's birthday and stuff, there's a musical number for that. The songs and the dance numbers are really creative. There's a huge dance number with fireworks, and it's this film that sort of spawned the Christmas song as we know it with the song White Christmas. So if you really hate Christmas songs, you can blame this film. Anyways, I love it. Next film on my list is Singing in the Rain. That came out in 1952. Now this one's a true classic. You've definitely heard a few of the songs, probably in commercials. Good morning, it's great to stay up late. Good morning to you. I feel like Singing in the Rain really represents the best of that era. It's Gene Kelly at his best, it's Donald O'Connor with some awesome slapstick / dancing numbers. It's funny and entertaining, and actually an interesting look into the transition between silent film and talkies. There's a lot of tap dancing, but there's actually a little bit of ballroom too, which is maybe a little more rare later on. It's more of like a 40s thing than a 50s thing. So it's kind of fun to have a little bit of that too in it. Next on my list is Mary Poppins. That came out in 1964. Mary Poppins is probably the first live-action musical that I saw as a child. All the songs are pretty much imprinted on my brain forever. In that place where you keep all of the weird things you remember from being a child. I really like the character of Mary Poppins. I feel like I identify with her, like even since I was a child, I was kind of connected with that character. The songs are really catchy, the characters are really fun. It's probably my first interaction with feminism as well. There's the whole bit with votes for women and stuff, which is kind of cool it was in there. And it gives me a reason to say supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Even though the sound of it is something quite atrocious. There's some nice slapstick too in the film. But I'm realizing that there's surprisingly a lot of slapstick in musicals. I wonder if it's because of the comedy bit, or if it's just the dancing already kind of makes you want to move, and that sort of becomes a way to do slapstick as well. And plus, Dick Van Dyke has these enormously long legs. It's just kind of like, you just have to do some slapstick. It's just, that's not a good representation of legs, by the way. It's just arms. This next one is actually a play, not a film, because I never actually specified that it was only films, and I decide what's on this list. And I couldn't actually make a list of musicals without anything from Stephen Sondheim, who's actually my favorite writer of lyrics and music for musicals. The play I've chosen is Company, created in the 70s. I don't have a physical copy or anything, but you actually can find a lot of versions of it on YouTube. There's a fairly recent one with Neil Patrick Harris and Stephen Colbert and a lot of other known actors in it. The reason I like Company, and Sondheim generally actually, is because they tend to include some more serious and darker themes than you typically see in musicals. It leaves room for things like alcoholism and divorce and loss and those kinds of themes that I guess you don't see normally. More real themes appeal to me, because especially when you compare it to The musicals that have like really ridiculous songs and stuff, like Carousel with the song about the clams. That was a real nice clam bake. We had a real good time. It's still written with a lot of comedy. Plus it's cleverly written and he breaks the fourth wall. And I'm a fan of breaking fourth walls. If you are... Bobby. Bobby, Bobby, baby, Bobby, 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 Robert, darling angel, I've been trying to tell you to stop barking when I'm filming. If you are, however, looking for a Sondheim film, they did make Into the Woods recently, and they made Sweeney Todd ages ago. I don't remember if that's a good film or not, though. But Into the Woods was good. Lastly, Dr. Horrible's SingAlong Blog, a miniseries that came out in 2008. When it comes to musicals, it's sort of peaked in the 50s, 60s kind of area. And through the next few decades that came after that, it was just like maybe one musical here and there. It's very few and far between. But in the year 2000, there was sort of a rise of it again with Chicago and Moulin Rouge. And so I wanted something a little more recent in my list. Since it's a mini-series and it was originally shown in little parts, it's not very long. It's about like 40-something minutes. But in those 40-something minutes, it does pack a lot of really great, funny, poignant, interesting moments. It's creative, it takes advantage of the sort of vlog style that was starting to be a thing in that time. There are a lot of songs, a lot of memorable characters, and it's incredibly quotable. It stars Neil Patrick Harris, Nathan Fillion, Felicia Day, plus, if you want more than just the 40-something minutes, there's actually a commentary track that's also a musical. It's a lot of fun. So those are my top 5 favorite musicals. Do you guys like musicals or do you aggressively hate them? Tell me in the comments. And if you do have a top 5 of your own, let me know. There's so many to choose from. There's so many musicals. It's absurd. Thanks for watching. If you haven't seen our last video, you can click right there. We ate food and played games. And I should get a better description because that sounds boring. It wasn't boring. Well, maybe. That's a matter of opinion, I guess. If you didn't think it was boring, go put a thumbs up on that other video, and on this video, on any video really. Just you know, subscribe and follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and follow us in person. Don't do that at night. That's terrifying.